In Denmark, the college is 3 years, and I dropped out. I was a dropout completely. I dropped out of college that time, and I actually went into plumbing. In Denmark, there's a plumbing engineering degree that takes 4 years. I just got bored. So learn from your mistakes. If you do something else and you don't learn from your mistakes, I think that's the worst part. I had the choice of going back to plumbing. I had the degree. But I said, no, I'm not going to go and do dirty work myself again. And even though it's a very respected profession in Europe, in Denmark, right? You make very good over the average, dude. You make over average salary here. So I took some odd jobs here and there. Cleaner here, there, hotels, this, that. I keep myself busy. One of my mentors today, he always say, one thing with Tayyab is many times he see it that he's very unconsciously competent.
Sometimes walking away from a deal is a good thing.
For sure. And one of my mentors say, a deal dies 7 times in software sales before you actually win it. Then I applied at a company called Regis. The first job I got was inside sales. I got promoted immediately. I ended up being general manager for the whole of Denmark. I had a conversation with him as well. He asked me, how much do you know about just a laptop or a computer or HTML? You know what that is? I said, no, I don't know. I mean, literally nothing. I didn't know anything. Over 90% of startups go bankrupt within the first 3 years, right? Ewings and Silicon Valley, the peninsula there. We started down in San Jose, Mountain View, Palo Alto, and Menlo Park. Menlo Park, which being the most poshest whatnot. That was one of the last properties we had to see, and we just fell in love with it immediately. It was absolutely amazing. We had a big investment from a VC at that time. In the end, was it just last year? And that obviously changed some of the shareholding in the company, right? That means our visa was going to be invalid. So we went to Cancun. He said it's in the same time zone. He booked a very, very nice resort. You're working like this and swimming shorts, but had a shirt on and by the beach all day long. It was amazing time. We were there and they said, Mr. Hanif, rest assured, we already approved it from our side. It's actually when it goes to the Department of State and come back. And so it should come 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks happened, 4 weeks happened, nothing happened. Our lawyer, as we call the ambassador, we had connections to the US ambassador here. Nobody can really do anything when it goes into that hole, right? The founder said, go to Dubai, chill, enjoy yourself, and I know you love Dubai, and you can work from there. And unbelievably very, very smooth visa process in UAE. In April 2024, I get an email from the US Embassy. Hey, Mr. Hanif, you can come by, collect your visa. You guys serious? Honestly, is this a joke? And I'm like, what? I mean, Dubai is very, very different, right? And I worked in Europe, UK, US, Canada, right? The markets. Dubai is a completely different beast.
Welcome, Tayyab. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
No problem. And appreciate your time. I know that you're a busy person and you're back and forth between Dubai and Denmark. So I really appreciate your time sharing with us.
Just to give you a quick introduction of myself, I'm Tayyab, 41 years of age. As Yasin mentioned, I lived all my life in Denmark, almost, apart from being out of Denmark a few years. The last 7 plus years, I've been in a software startup. It's a Danish startup called Leapwork. And I was the first hire in sales. I was the second hire in the company. I opened up our European market first, the UK market, then transitioned to open up our US market, which is one of our biggest, and now moved to Dubai as well to open up our whole Middle East, Africa, Asia, Pacific region here. And before that, I've done a lot of things, been in hospitality just right before. Before that, I was in construction, so done a little bit, I think, common for everything. All the fields I've been in, it's always been customer facing and people facing. And I think it's one of the arts that which I want to share more about with people. I think if there's something you can master, you can basically go into any field and make a lot of money, right? I think it's the people aspect of it. There's always one part that I call it, there's the science part, but then there's also the art part, right? I've always been best at the art part, but lately over the last 4 or 5 years, I really practiced having the science part of it as well. I will probably get into it a little bit later here. When I say science part is apply some science into your sales methodologies, your sales processes, and then you're bound to win. You cannot lose, right? So that's really been a big game changer for me in my career, especially lately. I don't lose any deals because I applied these sciences, right? So having taking
Yeah,
your personality and together with some proven science, that's a game changer.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think um, understanding your sales methodology is one of my curiosity that because every salesperson is different, and the way they look at the deals and the customers is something unique. And I always want to learn from the successful people, especially the salespeople in the industry. So we're going to talk about that more in detail. And you mentioned that the people aspect of it is something very important, regardless which industry you are in. And I agree with that, because no matter how AI is going to replace jobs, and then make us more kind of like useless, but at the end of the day, this whole people connection thing, it will remain relevant for the future to come, right? You may have AI replacing a lot of manufacturing jobs and computer programming and all that stuff, but this whole human to human connection and the way you actually deliver your message, your narrative to the people, that will be completely remain untouched, especially from an AI perspective. So tell us about your initial journey, Tayyab. You mentioned you have done some construction works. You have also spent some time in the hospitality. And then when I was watching your previous podcast with Vali, you mentioned, at some point you actually became broke, like you lost everything because of the investment mistakes, I should say. And then you had to start again from the scratch. So tell us about that, because I think the audience wants to learn, okay, it's very easy to follow a successful person, but there's so much behind the success as well, ups and downs, and start trying again, and get fail, and then and again restart the whole process. So we wanted to learn from your entire journey on that front.
Okay, sure. Look, Yasin, I think my story hasn't been that pretty always. Look, I've been through a lot of struggles, and I think if you go back, obviously after school, I joined the college because from our parents that was the only right thing to do. Right, do college, then do university, go and become a doctor or engineer or something. That was just the talk track that time, right? And so middle of the college time here in Denmark, the college is 3 years, and I dropped out. I was a dropout completely, and it was my parents, my family was devastated. I have 4 siblings. All of them have master degrees. 2 of them have double master degrees. So always them been the black sheep, right?
Social pressure, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I dropped out from that because I think it was too boring. I wasn't making any money, and I wanted something where I could make some money faster, basically, right? Where I could start my hustle, my business, and even though that time my parents always had businesses in Denmark, they didn't want us to do business. They didn't want us to do pop shop on the corner and stuff like that because the safest is always take a good education and go into a corporate job and just do your thing and live happy, right? And especially from that time to now, it's really changed, right? And now we actually encourage people to be entrepreneurs and think out of the box and have side hustles and so forth. But that time it wasn't like that, especially in Europe. All parents just wished for us to have a good education. And I dropped out of college that time, and I actually went into plumbing. In Denmark, there's a plumbing engineering degree that takes 4 years,
Oh
and
wow, 4 years degree to become a
it takes
plumber.
4 years. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
So it switches between 3 months you are in a school, 3 months, then you have a contract with a plumbing company, then you are with them 3 months, then you're in school again 3 months for the theoretical part of it, and then you're back to the company again. And throughout these 4 years, they pay you even though when you're in school and that the company pay you actually. And
Hmm.
as a student, when you're learning something, getting around $1,500 a month is quite good, right? And when you learn plumbing and you learn very quick, you can actually start doing on the side as well, fix people's stuff at home. And then so the money was actually very, very quick and fast. After the first 6 months, I started doing repairs at people's house, and later in my 4 years there, they actually put me into managing big building sites in Copenhagen, and my career even there went very, very well, right? So after the 4 years, when I completed, I worked. They hired me as a full time as well. After that, immediately the same company, they loved me,
Okay.
and they
So it's
put
your
me.
choice, after completing the program, you can either join the company or you can
Yeah, yeah, it's
go
open.
on your
It's
own.
open.
Okay.
Yeah, it's open. Yeah, there's no. Many people like to go to another company. But some if you have a good relation and the company is good, why not stay there, right?
Hmm.
There's a pride for these companies to have their
And who
people.
was providing the funding? Like, was it the company providing the
Yeah,
funding
completely provided.
for? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
completely provided. During these
Mm.
4 years, whenever you are working with them, you always have a mentor, and you follow him, and. So for them, it's also a cheap labor, right? As
Hmm.
soon as you learn something,
Yeah.
they can
Like an
use you, right?
intern.
And they
Yeah.
bill you. They bill their customers full time, right? But you are
Right.
cheap labor for them in this period. But at the same time, they're actually teaching you, right? So it's a win-win, basically, right? Some
Yeah.
companies here in Denmark, especially, they do a lot and investing in these apprentices, but some others they don't. But after these 4 years, they hired me. I did 6 months with them. Again, went very, very well. I just got bored. I said to my dad, "This is not for me. I don't want to do this."
Mm.
So I went to I have a lot of cousins, family in UK, and I moved to London. And moving to London, bought a big post office. That time, bought a big shop, supermarket, did some properties renovations on the side and everything. Had some small businesses here and there, right?
Yeah. So
And
this is where you're moving into construction. If you are an investor in the US, in Canada, or in Europe, and you are considering investing into Dubai real estate market, this video is for you, because we have a platform called Stake, which allows you to invest into the residential real estate market and start earning rental income right away without going through a lengthy documentation process or coming up with a heavy down payment. Stake is built upon the concept of crowdfunding. So it is democratizing the entire investment strategy and allows you to own a single unit of the entire investment portfolio. So you don't have to own the entire property, right? You can be part of the pool that can actually own a piece of property, a piece of real estate. So that allows you to start with as low as 2,000 dirhams, and you can slowly ramp up. So as you start investing into it, you can not only own a bit of real estate, but you also get a portion of the rental income on monthly basis. So it's a passive investment strategy, diversifying your portfolio from traditional North American or European markets into Dubai, which is hustling and bustling and growing very fast, and allows you to build your wealth over time. So don't delay. There is a link down there in the description. If you click on this, it will give you free 200 dirhams in your account right away to start with, and you can thank me later.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And was it more residential real estate
that
construction
was a
or?
residential,
Okay.
small
Yeah.
properties. Right, at that time, especially in UK, there was a lot of small properties that
Hmm.
need refurbishment. You can make some easy money on that, right? And what happened during those 3 to 4 years there in UK? Obviously, I got access to money very, very fast, and too fast, basically. Right, I was in my early 20s,
Hmm.
and having so much money in your hand doing cash businesses was not, how can I put it in a nice way? It was
It's
just
not
not the best
financially
thing for
free.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I was driving supercars in an age of 21, 22. Was partying in the best clubs, hotels in London. You're doing all whatever follows that, right? I
Yeah.
don't have to mention everything. And obviously, over
Yeah.
time, you end up burning more than you actually make because you don't have control over what's profit and what's actually need to be
Yeah.
reinvested and so forth and so forth, right? In the
Yeah.
end, we agreed that, that my dad said, listen, it's not good for you. Come back to Denmark. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I went back to Denmark with basically nothing, zero. I went from having a
So
lot,
you basically quit everything, all
quit
the
everything,
business that
had
you
to
were
settle
running
a
as a
lot of stuff
construction guy. Yeah.
on cheap because it was in a
Mm.
bad state in the end.
Mm.
Yeah, and lost money as well, owed money as well. Yeah. So
So
yeah,
so how did you lose it? Did you like
I
lose it
lost
as a
money.
project?
I lost money because I was invested in some projects, some businesses as well that
Mm.
I took too much money out from, and
Okay.
obviously had to pay that money back after I kind of sold the assets we had, right? And that, so you can probably just by thinking imagine how much money I just spent and wasted, right?
Yeah. And was there because of any economic downturn, like recession, like
No, it was
2008,
not because of
or
that.
no?
It was solely because of bad management of money, basically.
Bad money management? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically,
And I
that's.
think I want to mention something here. So I think earning money is one thing,
Mhm.
and handling that money is completely different skill. I think if you don't have the other skill, you will lose that money very easily. And I think your example is a very good example for that.
100%. If I look back and think back, um, I could have been a multimillionaire now. Yeah, I had very, very good setting that time, of income
Hmm.
streams and but I messed it up completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so yeah, fast forward, came back to Denmark, didn't have anything, owed money.
So you were in debt.
Yeah, I went that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, to family basically, right? And obviously, that was a big. You went from driving supercars, eating at the best places, to sleeping at your brother's couch. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Yeah, and it was also a big hit on me, right? Mentally as
for
well,
sure.
and for my family here in Denmark as well. And
And
so
how old were you during that time?
um,
Like in your early 20s or late
mid
20s?
twenties when I came back. Yeah, mid
Mid 20s?
twenties. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's and you have seen the peak already of, enjoying, flow of money into your pocket, and you can do whatever you want. And then you actually, gone down to zero almost, and you have to start again. I think that feeling is very difficult to manage. A lot of people just couldn't handle it mentally, and especially when they are emotionally very weak. But tell us, how did you handle that pressure, and think about how you can stand up again and then build everything from scratch.
yeah. Look, I think first, yes, it's very tough. I was very tough. I was very
Mm.
down in the few months I was back in Denmark, and I said to myself, you're better than this, right?
Mm.
And my dad said, it's fine. Everything is fine. Don't worry. Only thing I want to say to you is that learn from your mistakes, right? That's the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you do something else and you don't learn from your mistakes, I think that's the worst part of it, right?
Mm.
If you learn from your mistakes, I think if you can do that in your life and learn from your mistakes, you can only get better at everything, right? So that's, I think, the first part. That's the mindset, right? What did I do wrong?
Hmm.
I'm never gonna do this again. Tell myself, look in the mirror. I'm never gonna do this again, right? Secondly, I looked around. Obviously, I had the choice of going back to plumbing. I had the degree, but I said, no, I'm not gonna go and do dirty work myself again. And even though it's a very respected profession in Europe and Denmark,
Yeah.
especially, right? You make very good over the average, dude. You make over average salary here.
Yeah.
So
And you can run your own business as well.
yeah,
Like, you don't
yeah,
have to
exactly.
join a
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. So in the meantime, I took some odd jobs here and there, cleaner here, there, hotels, this, that. I got a job as a night attendant at a hotel then as well, a local one, and doing some, having a chef job as well in a restaurant, and all sorts of job that someone never could imagine that you have done actually
Mm.
or would do, right?
Right. So
And
was it out of desperation in terms of meeting your expenses, or you just want to keep yourself busy?
I keep myself busy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Desperation, thanks God, I never really had that in terms of, I always had family, help supporting, not in terms
Okay.
of giving me pocket money or something, but in terms of we always
Hmm.
had roof over our head, right? Our families are structured like that. So It
Yeah.
was more to get me going, at least get me into something. Because when you're in something, doesn't matter what it is, the next employer will always look at that, right? Is he sitting and
Mm.
doing nothing, or is he actually just doing something to do something, right?
Yeah.
And just to get into the next gig, right? So, and I think that guy from the hotel, he saw that, who hired me, the CEO of that hotel, and he hired me first of all as a night attendant, and he saw me how I was dealing with customers, and when you work a night attendant at a hotel, you work less days because it's night hours and so forth. I used to work double. Yeah, I used to work seven
Okay.
days a week, some a full month on 10-hour shift and during the night till the morning. And he said, "Look, when you're working a lot, man, you shouldn't do that." I
Mm.
said, well, I want more than this. And he said, I see, the way that you actually upsell the rooms and actually increase our revenue more than what we expect, what we forecasted. It's quite. He said, why? How
Mm.
do you do that? I said, well, I do it. I do it without thinking about it. I guess it's just a part of me. It's natural, right? You
Yeah.
always want more money out of the customers. Yeah.
And before that, you haven't done any sales job,
Yeah, yeah, I
or
did.
was it your
Yeah,
first
I did.
one?
So I
Yeah.
was in my earlies when I was teenager and while going to school, and always worked at small shops here and there, and
Okay.
other people's shops. Right. I think everything is about sales. Is how you see it, how you look at it. Right. Customer service and sales. Always done jobs like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think having seen
Yeah.
my father as well had his own shops, and so I think
Mm.
always been in customer facing positions, and
Yeah.
in Europe compared to many other countries around the world, especially in Denmark, you start working when you are 12, 13 years of age. You
Mm.
get you put a newspaper in people's houses, or you work in a shop, or you do stuff like that, or you're a dishwasher or whatever. That's just the culture here. I think it's a very good culture, and
Yeah.
that sits in me still today, right?
Yeah. It's pretty much the same culture in any Western country as well. Like I lived in the UK for 12 years. I've seen the similar, culture in the youth. When they're in their high school, they also go out and then and work part time in the shops, or dropping newspapers and then as well. And I think few people think that sales is basically like pushing a product, like being a cheesy sales guy, but in fact it's delivering value, right? In whichever fashion profession you are in, if you're in hospitality, or working on a shop, or working for a corporate organization, delivering value is actually part of the sales methodology. How you're helping your client, your customer, that's the whole process of sales. The monetary part will come later, and it will come eventually, but I think it's the difference between a cheesy sales guy and a successful salesperson is how do you deliver value, how do you make difference in people's life. So I agree with your philosophy.
Yeah, 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 exactly. I think we'll get into it in shortly here, but yeah. So he asked me if I wanted to come on day shift and start doing some sales for him. He had an idea on doing because that hotel was located near the main airport in Denmark, Copenhagen, and he said he had an idea on doing company agreements. All the small companies, in when they send people for travels, especially on the other side of Copenhagen, they come here, and if we do agreements with them, we give them better rate, and during the weekdays especially, we can fill up the hotel. I said,
Hmm.
sure. So I did it without further ado. I start calling, pulled list, start calling all small companies in Jutland. That's the other side of Denmark, the other side of Copenhagen, like 5 hours away. And in 2 months, I have signed 95 company agreements with 95 small companies.
Okay, so that was B2B engagement, right?
Yeah, B2B. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
And in 4 months, we started to be 100% occupancy as well on the weekdays as well. And this
Hmm.
stuff was said, "Yeah, well, how did you pull this off?" And I said, well, just again, there's one of my mentors today. He always say one thing with Tayyab is many times he see it that he's very unconsciously competent, right?
Right.
So I actually take that and start to be consciously competent now.
Yeah.
Because if you can get to that, you're much more powerful, right? Do you understand what I
Yeah.
mean here?
It could be other way around, right?
Yeah, it should
Because
be the other way around.
I
Yeah,
think so. The way I understood was that your mentor's comment was, if you're unconsciously competent, which means you don't realize how competent you are, but your competitors or people around you, they can notice you. And then that's a good thing as well, because then you're just doing your best without realizing yourself, how you're doing best. But the impact was so visible to your competitors or to your colleagues. That's a good thing as well, right? And of course, once you realize, then of course you will try to improve it. But there's something called natural kind of instinct, right? That is also coming through your whole presence, and that can be something very amazing that you don't really realize.
yeah. And I think it's something you also can develop, right? In the
Hmm.
toughest negotiations, right?
Yeah.
I give you an example here. I had a negotiation with a very, very large company in the Middle East last week. I mean, it's been going on for a month here. And there was one point in the master agreement that we couldn't sign. And my legal and finance said, Tayyab, you got to go back to them with this. And I said,
Hmm.
as in sales, we always try to, come on, can we not do something? I said, this one is no go. We cannot sign that.
Hmm.
I went on the meeting. Hey guys, how are you? And how are you, Tayyab? We look forward to getting all this wrapped up. It's been a lot of back and forth. Their lawyers, our lawyers, and it's a big contract. And
Hmm.
anyway, I said, guys, I I don't know what to say. I'm disappointed, and probably last time we talk, but we have a deal breaker here. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I apologize. I couldn't pull this off for you guys, but I tried, and I just couldn't. So you
Hmm.
know, it would have been good to work with you, and hopefully we can meet again in the future. And they said, no, 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 no. It was a CFO. Tell us, what is it? Let's talk about it. I said,
Hmm.
there's probably no point. I don't want to get into it. It's probably also unreasonable for you, and and they said, "Oh, tell us." I told them that point, and they were like, and then I just stay quiet. The silence,
Hmm.
right? And like for 20, 30 seconds, and they looked at each other. There were two people sitting in the same room, and said, "No, no, Tayyab, we'll fix it. You don't worry." Sure. So we can remove that. I don't
Hmm.
want to do anything that's unnatural for you guys. No, no, Tayyab,
Yeah.
we'll fix it. Okay, great. You know, so this thing I done unconsciously before, but now I
Yeah.
do it very consciously. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you
S-
play,
So,
you
so
use your
maybe you,
presence.
you you didn't bother about losing the deal out of frustration. Didn't realize this may go in your favor.
Yeah, I did it very, very much on purpose, right?
Yeah.
If you say that, you push them away yourself. It's a
Mm.
sales tactic, right? If you push someone away, what will they do? They want to come towards you.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's natural, right? Sometimes when you show a completely no attitude, then people will be generally curious. Okay, why is he saying no now?
Yeah, exactly. And look, if other side, if I went in, guys, this one we cannot accept, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Hard on. I'm playing big guy. They would not have reacted like this for sure.
Yeah. My one of my previous boss, he used to tell me that sometimes walking away from a deal is a good thing. So you should always try it. Don't try to be a cheesy sales guy and say yes to everything. Sometimes you have to say no and then walk away, and it's a good thing for your negotiation.
For sure. And one of my mentors
Yeah.
say a deal dies 7 times in software sales before you actually win it.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, and just my point was that this time now I do it. I know it works, right?
Mm.
Before I used to do it,
Unconsciously.
it just works for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
And but going back to that hotel, everything went well. I thought I wanted some more. I got an opportunity at Marriott hotels. There's one Marriott hotel in Copenhagen in Denmark. I got a opportunity there. I went there. The shift was 8 hours. I called my wife after 4 hours. I said, "Pick me up from here. I cannot do this. This is like horrible corporate. You have to stand up all the time, and all this stuff." And I said,
Yeah.
"That's me." And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." So I went back. That time, in the between, I got married as well to Aisha, and she, look at that time I got married to Aisha. It was also good, I think a part of my journey is that Aisha, she has been in insurance in 20 years here in Denmark, and had several promotions, and in a very good company, the same company where she got the
Hmm.
education and
Yeah.
everything. And
Was she also born in Denmark?
she's born in Denmark, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and but her parents Pakistan as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so when we met, she was actually in a much higher and better position than me. I was working as a night attendant at a hotel.
Hmm.
But we talk about it and laugh about it. Our friends, family do today, and they say, Aisha, look, I
So
don't know.
how did you get the proposal accepted?
Yeah, but it was tough. Aisha's brothers didn't accept it. Yeah,
Yeah, because especially in Desi culture, right?
yeah,
If you're not doing well, and especially you're doing not so well compared to your future wife, there is zero chance that you're gonna get your proposal accepted.
yeah. But Aisha, obviously born and bred in Denmark. Some girls here have a lot of power, or they really stand through on their own opinions, and she was one of them,
Hmm.
right? And her parents couldn't say no, right?
Okay.
And yeah, we got married there, and yeah, so I think on that Marriott thing, I came back, searched for some other jobs, did some odd jobs in between as well, uh, and was managing suddenly a hotel for a Pakistani guy who just bought a hotel at an auction, and he was a very nice guy in the beginning, but in the end, he was not a nice guy. And I thought, I need to get out of this. I need to do something. There's too many odd jobs right now, right?
Hmm.
Then I applied at a company called Regis. You guys probably
I know,
know it.
Regis.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I got
They're
a
one of the office building owners in the UK.
yeah, the
So
largest.
I actually worked with them when I was in the UK. So I was because in telecoms I used to kind of work with the company to replace all their legacy via PBX with a hosted IP solution. So yeah, we had like I think 60 locations across UK, if not I'm mistaken. So we worked Verizon Business on the IT side. Yeah, very
Yeah,
familiar with that.
worldwide, I think they have over 5,000 locations now. Regis, yeah. So they're
Yeah.
very big, right? And in Denmark, they were quite big as well. And the first job I got was inside sales. Men, sit and call people out, setting appointment for the salespeople. Uh,
Mm.
and I was there totally 4 years, and I had 7 positions. I got promoted immediately.
Within Regis, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I ended up being general manager for the whole of Denmark, right?
Okay.
So having very very good salary, big commissions, and obviously nothing compared to what I do now. But for that time, I mean, amazing, amazing.
Mm.
I went from doing these jobs, hospitality, and obviously selling properties, having full responsibility of the Denmark P&L, as well as managing around 50 to 60 people in those
Okay.
4 years. Yeah, so. It went, again, I think it just goes to show you get the right opportunity, you take the right opportunity, go out of your comfort zone. You can
Mm.
change, you can change the industry. It doesn't really matter, right? If you apply
which is
yourself.
which is the most encouraging thing I wanted to learn from this podcast. No matter which industry vertical you're coming from, as long as you have the right attitude in terms of managing people, sales is all about managing people, right? If you understand human psychology, if you understand how to interact with people, you're very precise and very clear communicator. I think it doesn't matter where you work, which industry you work, hospitality, healthcare, tech industry. I think you can really adjust well. So going back to Regis, what was your product that you were selling? Is it just a serviced office to the,
Yeah, just serviced
client? Yeah.
offices and virtual
Okay.
offices. That was the
Yeah.
products we had, right?
Okay.
And I was doing very well
Yeah.
myself as well, and my team, coaching people, and was doing amazing, amazing. And that went really really well. And we just scale by acquiring smaller office spaces and companies. So
Hmm.
in the end, we acquired one company called Brink Service Offices that was in Denmark, a small one. Had 4 or 5 locations in Copenhagen, and
Right.
uh, and we did acquisition of them. I was involved in the acquisition. I met the owner of that, and obviously they made their money and left. And I think 6 months, 1 year after that guy, he called me, who was the owner of that acquisition we did.
Okay.
Hey, Tayyab, I'm starting this software company. and with my partner here, who was a techie, I'm the business, as you know, and
So what was he doing in that office building space? Was it a techie guy, or he was basically running that business himself?
he was running the business, in the office. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. So he
Okay.
was a businessman. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And so if you think about it, renting a big office or a building, dividing it into small offices, providing coffee machine and reception and so forth support, it's actually a very
IT
good business.
services. Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
good, and anyone can actually do it, right? If you
Mm.
if you want to invest and in a property or rent a property and
Yeah.
then sublease it,
Maybe
right?
maybe not right now, because the commercial real estate is in deep trouble right now
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of the post COVID issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But this was before that. Yeah, and we he called me and said we're starting this company and this and that, and I went to have a coffee with him and said, well, Christian, I don't know anything about this software thing you're talking about. He said, don't worry, I know you. I followed you for
Yeah.
some years. I know you can run this. I said, I'm not sure.
So before that, you haven't worked in the tech industry, at all,
At all, at all. I don't
right?
even simple questions. His partner and the other founder, Klaus the techie, the guy who
Yeah.
found this, made this software to begin with. I had a conversation with him as well. He asked me, "How much do you know about just a laptop or a computer or HTML? You know what that is?" I said, "No, I don't know." I mean, literally nothing. Yeah. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything.
And
Yeah,
not even a formal education like a diploma or degree or certification, nothing like that.
nothing, nothing. Honestly, nothing. Yeah,
Wow.
and
So he actually looked your sales skills, your human interaction skills, the way you handle people, the way, I shouldn't say handle, the way you manage people, the way you manage communication. That was the skill that your partner were looking into it and thought, okay, maybe this is the guy that I want to bet on in terms of running my startup, my tech startup.
100%. Yeah, and he knew I had the will, right? Yeah, he asked,
Mm.
the market as well before because now we are friends, right? Yeah, often ask him. I said, Christian, that time, why me? He said, obviously I knew you from Regis, and but then when I needed someone, I asked in the market around, and obviously I still had connections in the office spaces, customers, and people mention your name on several occasions, and that's why he kind of did it because of my will, right?
Mm.
And I went back to my wife and said, this company, this, that, and I said, what? Going from that position, to a small company like this, and at that time, in the end, I was the general manager of Regis here, right?
We just
It was a
Yeah.
very good coming from where
Yeah.
I was, right?
Yeah, especially when you started from the scratch a few years ago, right? And then build yourself again, and to you reach to a point where you're comfortably say, okay, yeah, I have gained everything back which I lost, and now you have an opportunity to work for a startup which doesn't even exist today. They have zero customer, and there is no guarantee it can survive. And yeah, tell us about how did you take the decision? Sorry for the interruption, guys. Just wanted to let you know that we have a team of realtors which is covering the entire GTA as well as some outside areas as well, like Brent region where I am based off, and I help out the clients in this region as well. So if you have any needs with regards to real estate transactions, buying, selling, investing, renting, let me know. There is a link down there where you can book a one-to-one consulting call with me, and we will be more than happy to help you out. Let's get back to the video.
And obviously he was hooked on me. Yeah, so he wanted me, but the salary they could give me, because at that time they were funding from their own pocket. Obviously both had money, right? They sold some
Yeah.
companies and passed on that. But and so I had to take a salary cut of around 25-30%. And
Mm.
but he offered me shares in the company. And I said, what the hell am I going to do with these shares? I didn't know at that time as well, right?
Yeah.
Now it's become a known thing, right? People talk about shares in companies, but 7 years ago, I at least didn't have a clue. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Aisha said, look, if you don't do it, and if you see them go IPO in 10 years or get sold for $1 billion amount or anything,
Mm.
you'll regret the rest of our lives.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
said, are you sure? She said, yeah, I'm working still. And, if it doesn't go, yeah, come on, we end it together. It doesn't matter. And I said, are you really sure? and I asked my friends around, and everyone said, There was
Mm.
like mixed feelings, right? Nobody really want to say do it, but still, people say it's a good opportunity, right, to be in something
Yeah.
early. Right? You heard of these people who were in Facebook very early, or the painter of the offices who became a billionaire,
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
And what year was it? Was it early 2020s or
This was 7 years ago, 7 years and
so
4 months.
2016,
Yeah,
2017
2016,
timeframe?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2017, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the timing is also the key, right? Especially after dot-com bubble and then global financial crisis. There was a time where pretty much every tech company was going through the roof, right? From an evaluation perspective, or whether their business idea is unique or not. Um, the chances of getting companies into the IPO was very high in that period. Now I think things are changing because things are more being scrutinized, and then of course there is an AI phenomena as well. But I think before that, like before 2020, like since 2008 crisis all the way to 2017, 18, that time I realized that was a prime time for tech companies to boom, because there was a money coming in, a lot of funding available, um, evaluations were being done very easily and to a very high multiples. And so for somebody to kind of have a business idea to turn into a reality, into a tech startup, the chances are very high in that time frame. So I think timing could be in your favor as well.
Yeah,
That this is my experience.
timing was in my favor as well, but I think there's a stat there that also says over 90% of startups go bankrupt within the first 3 years, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
there's timing, there's the right company, there's the right product, there's the right people as well
Mhm.
that plays in, right? But I think
Yeah.
still, yes, it was good timing.
Mhm.
Anyway, I think we decided on it, right? We said let's take the chance. Again, kudo to my wife, and I still say it to everyone around me today. She always
Mhm.
been very, very supportive, and if she wasn't supportive that time, I wouldn't have been here. Probably been still doing well, but I think this, with my leap work journey, especially transformed our lives. Our comfort in life, and our experience, our ability to travel, to do whatever we want.
Mhm.
It's just been a game changer. Our life changed completely after that, right? So I started 1st June 7 years ago exactly. So a
Mhm.
couple of months back. And at that time, it was the two founders, me and one guy sitting in marketing, trying to get some inbound leads. And he said, "Oh, my first week, Tayyab, I got this one inbound lead from a company here, and I said, well, let's try. And I went in and got the founder to do a demonstration with me, and we did a little proof of concept, and very quickly closed deals. So my first month in the company, we closed business for $40,000. Second month, $90,000, and again, it just went
Mhm.
like this. And they were
Yeah.
like, hell, they didn't even expect this to go this fast, right?
Yeah.
We start hiring salespeople, and I start training them, managing them,
Mhm.
and since then, there's no look back, right?
Yeah.
We have a huge team in Copenhagen. We have a big team as well in London. We have a big team in Boston, in San Francisco, supporting teams in Spain and in India. And we are 550 people now. We got investment from KKR, one of the largest VCs in the world, Salesforce Ventures as well.
Mhm.
Last year, we signed a strategic partnership with Microsoft. Microsoft, they have a lot of partners. We obviously
Right.
also are ISV partner, but there's another leg to our partnership with Microsoft. That's a strategic one with the CTO himself sitting in the
Right.
HQ, right, where they now recommend all of their customers to go out and use our product.
Oh, nice. Do you mind sharing your product? Like, what is it, and what does it do in terms of solving problems?
Yeah, Leapwork is a automation platform. So there always
Mhm.
been automation on the market. That's nothing new. But what Klaus and Christian saw in the market at that time, there was a huge gap there. In order to create automation, when we talk automation, we're talking about software test automation. So can you guys imagine, for example, everyone who have a lot of software, before they release, after a small change, they need to test it,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? If they don't test
Mhm.
it, it can have
Yeah.
devastating consequences.
Oh, sure.
What happened last week? We all know.
Yeah.
They came out and said, look, because the release wasn't tested, the update
Yeah,
wasn't tested.
the wrong patch.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you see, and there's been automation for a while. There's some open source tools and all that stuff. But our product is 100% visual. So anyone without technical knowledge can go in and create automation end to end, right?
Mhm.
Across applications. And specifically, people really, what is critical for a lot of companies is their like customer journeys or user journeys, right? You start in, for example, just let's take a easy example, e-commerce, right? A big one. You start in one system, then it goes to another one, to a third one, to a fourth one. In a buying process like that until checkout here, and there's probably 6, 7, 10 systems behind the scenes involved, right?
Yeah.
If one of them have a bug, what will the customer do?
Mm.
They'll go to another one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
um, so I think our main business right now, just to kind of boil it down, is for people to test user journeys and customer journeys end to end across their applications,
Mm.
to ensure they mitigate any risk for downtime. They decrease the cost of running software as well. They increase productivity within their teams as well. So I think that is the biggest drivers for implementing our software here, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft saw that as well. There was a big challenge for their customers because Microsoft pushed software to their customers. Their customers do a lot of customizations, and they need to be able to test them, but they cannot test as fast as enough as Microsoft wants it.
Mhm.
If they test, they do it manually. What happens when you do manual something again and again and again? There's human errors. You forget
Of
things.
course.
You only test happy pat. So it's a
Mm.
huge business, right? And since
Yeah.
then, personally as well, closed some of the biggest logos globally, right? Google, Amazon,
Right.
you name it there.
I was gonna ask, who are your prime customers? Are they like, software vendors who are deploying software in the cloud, or let's say in the private cloud as well, like if they have data centers, regionally. And so who is your prime customer? Is it the big, large, cloud providers, or like small private cloud operators?
It was a good question, and just to make it very clear, because a lot of people misunderstand that
Mm.
every company today is a software company. Banks, Vanguard, for
Yeah.
example, it can be clothing brands, it can be anything. Any
Hmm.
industry is our customer. Any company
Nice.
that has a lot of software, either their own build software or they buy software
So
from
somebody's
Microsoft,
managing it.
Oracle,
Yeah.
Salesforce, whatever, all the software they buy, they customize it, right? Everything is customized. So whenever you customize
True.
something, whenever there comes an update from the vendor, you need to test it,
Mm.
right? So it's basically any company, any vertical, any industry. Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
the market is massive for this. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the private cloud, yes, but when you are a customer of a public cloud, for example, Amazon Web Services, um, then whatever Amazon is pushing into their public cloud, the customer is going to get it. So in that case, your customer will be Amazon, not the end customer themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because they are
Am-
just using whatever being pushed from the AWS, right?
exactly. Amazon
And
is
the
using.
reason I'm asking is because I'm from the same industry, right? So I work for Cisco, and Cisco has thousands of products, mostly in the cloud. They have some on-prem products as well, but it's all software, right? You take software, deploy this in a private data center, or you push it into the public cloud like Amazon Web Services, or Google GCP, or Microsoft Azure, or Alibaba, for example. And then um, the reason why I was asking, do you go after these big giant cloud providers, because then you have access to a billion of other customers under their umbrella, versus you go after an individual customer that will also give you a good recurring business. But I think if you sign a partnership with a giant cloud provider, that will give you an access to millions of customers on their platform or their marketplace.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. You're right. We have several partnerships like that, right?
Mhm.
But it doesn't really matter if it's cloud provider or what it is. It can be on-prem as well. So cloud is
Yeah.
not really a condition, right?
Mm.
But yes, we have a lot of technology partnerships, where they sell LeapWork to their customers, right? And that's obviously
Mhm.
much more scalable, right? But what we kind of did over the last 2 years, we make a lot of our business channel driven, right? We want to scale and grow by having multiple, channels, around us that sell and push lead work, right? I
Hmm.
think it's the easier way to sell it, and especially now in my new market, I'm focusing on making it 100% partner and channel
Channel.
driven. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think this is
it
this is
worked
a big
well with
difference.
Cisco, it
Why?
worked well with Microsoft, and that's how the companies we grown very, very nicely over the years. I think right
Mm.
now it's really time and turn up the heat, especially with Microsoft behind us recommending
Yeah.
this. Microsoft partners can make a lot of money on this, right? We can, and so right now the decision I took here is to make it 100% channel driven.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the organic growth is good, but I think if you have to scale your growth, you have to start a distribution system. And I think Cisco has shown this in the last 35 years that you can scale enormously if you build a successful distribution system. And I think Cisco is hands down one of those pioneers in the industry to build that ecosystem. Dell does the same thing. All these big giants have a massive distribution system with ISV partners, and other resellers and VARs, and even service providers as well. And I spent, I think, 10 plus years in the channel organization within Cisco and before that as well. So I understand the whole dynamics of creating channel programs and then incentives and basically a system that can basically scale itself. When once you have those partnerships, so all those agents and distributors can actually work for you and expand the business and the markets like Middle East and Africa, because this is a very unique market for Western companies because they cannot penetrate directly into the end customer. So you have to go through an existing ecosystem that has already been established and have trust and partnerships and already business going through it. So yeah, totally understand that. So now, tell us about this whole quick journey to the America. You spent some time there, and then I watched that podcast, so I understand what happened. But I just wanted to, you to share with the audience, what happened, and that actually moved you back to the Denmark and then to Dubai.
Yeah, yeah. In good and bad, right? I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But obviously, in the beginning, like let's say 5 years or 6 years ago, we started obviously selling into America virtually. We set up a company over there. We started to selling virtually and worked very, very well. And then COVID came, and our customer base started growing tremendously as well, and we kind of agreed we have to go there right now. A lot of customers, our deals are getting very, very big, and
Mm.
without meeting in person, it's kind of a blocker. It's not a blocker, but it just takes more time, right?
Yeah.
And to developing those C-level relationships, it's always better to take them out and so forth. So there were several things there, and during COVID. From the Schengen, you couldn't go directly to the States, right? So at that time, we had to go to me and one of my SE sales engineers. We went to a couple of times. We went to Dubai, stayed there for 2 weeks in quarantine, and then we could travel from Dubai to America, right? And so because of doing that, we stayed there for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. I was away from my
Mm.
wife and kids that time for 5 weeks, and the first we did this 5 times, yeah, or the first I think it was almost a year or something, and stayed in Manhattan, and then obviously we're traveling all over the states, but
Mm.
hiring the first people on the ground in US as well, SEs and so forth, and so that was a very, very nice time again, and during this time we also started our visa application for me and the two founders, right, for the states, right, because we could see
Right.
US was the best and biggest market, right.
Mm.
So so yeah, we kind of that time traveling back and forth. Fast forward, we got our visa for US in March a couple of years ago, and that time I obviously had a lot of friends. Then by then, customers that became friends and so forth in the States, and kind of for me it was an open land on where to live. Obviously, Manhattan sounds very, very nice, and I looked around and looked at some properties, and I just couldn't see myself living there with my two kids and my wife because the rush and hustle and bustle, and it's very nice to be there a few days, a
Yeah.
month, but and alone as a single, but having two
Yeah.
kids and
With kids,
I just
and especially, it becomes too expensive as well, to be
yeah,
honest.
Yeah, the expensive part, yeah, I had a good support. I was very fortunate. I am as well from the company as well. And that, anyway, so fun story was that Christian said then March, April, it's like you need to figure out now, kids, summer holidays starting, so you can move in summer holidays a couple of months ago. He said there's
Mm.
too much back and forth. It's not good for you. It's not good for your family. You
Yeah,
would jet lag the first week when you go there. You would jet lag the first week when you come back here to Denmark, right? And they were
exactly.
moving as well.
And it's worse on coming back because I used to travel between UK and US as well. So going into the US, it was jet lag, but it was okay, manageable. But when I come back, I could not even sleep for the next 3 days because of that jet lag.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
same, yeah. And so I had a good friends who also from Pakistan in Texas, in Dallas, and when I went there several times, they were a good customer as well, and one of our very
Mhm.
big customers, and a customer that also have a lot of customers that we eventually sold into. So anyway, I like that area very much. It was a new area in Dallas and quite posh,
Yeah.
and I said to Aisha, come here and they took a flight from Copenhagen, and while they were on the flight to Texas to kind of we had to see some properties and schools and decide where we're going to stay. Christian called me, one of the founders, and he said, "Yeah, but I thought about it. I don't think Texas is you actually. I know I had it open, but you looked at Boston, you looked at New York, now you're looking at Texas." And I don't know, just it's not just you. And I know you as I've been here many, many times before you as well, and during my life. And Texas is not you. And we spoke about San Francisco area, Silicon Valley, and
Mm.
some of our investors are there as well. But Christian and Klaus, they moved to the East Coast because they had to go back and forth a lot more to Denmark than myself, right? So they
Mm.
couldn't do the West Coast, right? So he said, and also
Yeah.
for the business, it makes sense if you do Cali. I said, okay, well that's yeah. He said, but up to you. And I said, well, that's a change. My wife is on the way. She's landing in 2 hours here. She's thinking that we got to find a house here. Anyway, we spent a couple of days there in Texas with our friends and their family and had a lot of good time. And we took a flight from Dallas to San Francisco. The company set up viewings and on Silicon Valley,
Mm.
the peninsula there. We started down in San Jose,
San
Mountain
Jose. Yeah.
View,
Yeah.
Palo Alto, and Menlo Park. Menlo Park, which being the most poshest one on all of them.
Yeah.
That was one
Mm.
of the last properties we had to see, and we just fell in love with it immediately. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it was a community of apartments, and the school was one of the best in the area, and it just fell in very very well. And it was expensive. And then I called my boss. I said, "Hey, Christian, you said go here, and this is the price."
Yeah.
And he said, "Don't worry, you'll fix it." And they, look, they know my value. They know how much I bring to the company in terms of
Mm.
my knowledge, my support of new people, onboarding new people, my own sales, and so this is peanuts for the company, right?
Mhm.
So we signed the lease there, and we went back to Denmark, and we came back in July, moved back in July there, right? All very, very well. We had an amazing time, traveled, went to Hawaii, went to all different states, and amazing time. Kids loved the school. Obviously, kids transitioned from Denmark, being native Danish speakers, to go to US, yeah, right? So, but kids learn fast.
There's a big
So
difference. Yeah.
my wife, that period, she quit her job, and we decided that she would just stay home, be a housewife, taking care of the kids. Because even in US, I was traveling a lot. I had people
Mm.
that were around the states, and so I was traveling every week, basically, right?
Yeah.
So we just decided on that she will spend more time with the kids and look after them and stuff. So
Mhm.
she quit her job there, and I think fast forward a year and a half after, we the company that the visas we three were on was called an investor visa, right? And that was
Right.
tied to specific percentages of shareholding in the company and all that. We had a big investment from a VC at that time. In the end, was it just last year? And that obviously changed some of the shareholding in the company, right? That
Mhm.
means our visa was going to be invalid.
Oh, wow. Right away? Like,
Right away. No grace
Okay.
period, nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
And
And did you know that already,
we
or was it
didn't
like a
know.
surprise?
I mean, we obviously found out before we signed, so we kind of pulled the
Okay.
visa back. We said, "Give us some weeks. We need to sort ourselves out here, right?"
Yeah.
Because of this. I was fortunate that I was not alone because I was with the founders, so everything was as equal for me as it was for them in terms of
Mm.
getting everything sorted, right? And we kind of got upset because the lawyer who did our visas the previous year, he should have known that we scale up.
Yeah.
Our investments and shareholding will change,
Yeah.
and,
At some
and we
point.
shouldn't really have gotten that visa. We should have gone on L visa straight away, right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of pissed off, if I can say that mildly. Um, but anyway, he called me again, Christian. Listen, we need to sign now. We need to leave the country because we cannot work, right? We could go out and come back on tourist visa, but
Mm.
we cannot prove we don't work or anything, and we're not supposed to work. So we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We just want to keep everything
And
clean.
then, of course, the kids, right? You have kids already going to
We just
school,
started
and
a new school year after that, right?
yeah.
And the kids started, and it was in end of August that time, and he said, "Look, so me and you, while we wait for the embassy to call us in for the appointment, we go to Mexico." So we went to Cancun. He said it's in the same time zone. We booked a very, very nice resort. You're working like this and swimming shorts, but had a shirt on and by the beach all day long. It was amazing
Yeah.
time. You were there for
If you were single, then it would have been the best life you can ever
exactly,
imagine.
exactly.
But I
But
can I
even as
can
a
think
married man,
taking the
Yasin, come
family.
on, having
Yeah.
a few weeks
If you
with
don't
a
have
buddy,
kids, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So and our families, our all three families, the two founders and me, they
Yeah.
had to exit, so they went to Canada. And my wife, she had have a cousin who lived in Toronto, and she never been there, and she always wanted to
Mm.
go there. She said, "Oh, amazing! Let's." She went to Toronto and stayed at their house and had fun for a little week. They came back. They had to enter again on ESTA, right? Because we are Danish passport holders, we can go in and
Yeah.
out of ESTA. The drill.
Yeah.
And they went in on ESTA, and we found out that on ESTA you're not allowed to go to school either. And the school said something different. Well,
Mm.
yes, you can come to the school, but the lawyer said no, they're not allowed
Mm.
to. The school are not.
Yeah. ESTA is just like a visitor visa, right?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
just going there for temporary period,
The
and yeah.
schools in US under I don't remember which amendment, they're not allowed to reject anyone, right? So the principal of our school there, he said, no, no, by all means bring them. And I said, no, don't, because it's actually considered human trafficking. This comes under. So they didn't go to school.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And 1 2 week 3 weeks happened, and the embassy called us. So me and my buddies, we went from Cancun to Denmark, and we called our families, come to Denmark. We went to the
Mm.
embassy to our interview. It wasn't really an interview, it was just a transfer of a visa, but they said, oh, you already have a visa, right? And I said, yeah. So anyway, you're good from our side, they said. And I
In
said,
Denmark.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Denmark. And
Mm.
so in a few days you'll receive it, and it just goes through the system and it will come. I said, okay. Christian and Klaus's their visa came after a few days, and our passports came back in the post. I said, Mr. Hanif, yours visa, actually your approval process has gone into something called administrative processing.
Oh.
We don't really know when it will come.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you guys talking about? And
Secondary protocol. This is also
yeah,
called
exactly.
secondary protocol. You know what? I used to travel to US on Pakistani passport before, and each time when I land in US, it's a secondary protocol for me. So they take me to the downstairs. There was a room. There was a people lined up sitting there, and everybody has to go through an interview, regardless. How many times you have already traveled to US. That was a the usual process for anybody, on a Pakistani
I
passport.
didn't
So
I didn't tell you that, right? But doing all this 2 years where I traveled back and forth to US, every
mm,
time I got to secondary check. Every time.
yeah,
Now as a
yeah.
Danish passport holder, you said you had a Pakistani passport, right?
Yeah.
But I was
Oh, really? With Danish passport as well? Because that changed once I got the British citizenship. So with British passport, I never had that problem. But before, yeah, but before that, with Pakistani passport, it was guaranteed that I have to go through the secondary protocol all the time.
wow. Okay. No, no. I still did get actually into that. Yeah. But anyway, I went and came into the administrative processing, and they said, Mr. Hanif, rest assured, we already approved it from our side. It's actually when it goes to the Department of State and come back, and so it should come. 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks happened, 4 weeks happened, nothing happened. Our lawyer, as we call the ambassador, we had connections to the US ambassador here. Nobody can really do anything when it goes into that hole, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And there we were from early September to.
So your partner, your boss, your managing partner, they were all given their passport. Everything
And they
was
went
good
back
for them.
immediately. Obviously, they
They
went
went
back.
back.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you stuck because your passport has gone into
I
this
know my
whole
passport came back.
administrative process.
My passport came back.
Okay.
And they said, because we
Okay.
don't know if it
Yeah.
is 1 day or 1 month or when, so we'll give you your passports. So in that
Mhm.
period, obviously, I was very stressed out working from Denmark, managing US, managing my teams there and everything, obviously different time zone. That wasn't the hard part, but the hard part was not knowing what is going to happen, actually, right?
Especially for the kids, they're out of school
The kids,
now.
they were out of school, they were missing their friends. We were
Yeah.
living with family, we were living in hotels, we were living in a hotel apartment. It was just not ideal.
Mm.
And November came a few months after, and I could not stay in Copenhagen or in Denmark longer in order for taxation rules, right? Otherwise, I
Yeah.
didn't want to be double taxed, right? So
Mm.
Christian said, the founder said, go to Dubai, chill, enjoy yourself, and I know you love Dubai, and you can work from there. And
Mm.
I said, okay. We went to Dubai, lived in a very very nice house on the Palm, and was in the beginning it was like a holiday, right? From the middle of November to again was following up weekly with the embassy, nothing new, nothing new, and end of December happened. We were still in Dubai, and he says to me that I don't feel good that you and your family are stuck like that. Your
Mm.
kids are living on tuition. We had a home tourist coming in Dubai and everything,
Yeah.
and living in the unknown. And we got to open that market anywhere at one point.
Mm.
And you always wanted that market. I know that that was my end goal after US, actually, right?
Okay.
So he said, "What about doing it now?" I said, "Well, I didn't really think that, And we thought about it for a couple of weeks. During the Christmas, New Year holidays, we went to Saudi for Umrah, and we came back, and I called him and I said, Christian, let's do it.
Mm.
And fast forward, we set up the company in Dubai. So here,
Yeah.
and Aisha went
So
back.
before that, you were just living in Dubai on a tourist visa, and you were just working remotely from there, right?
You're allowed
Okay.
to do that, and
Yeah. I think
and
is it 6 months that you can stay there?
3 months. Yeah,
Um,
3 months,
3 months. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the funny thing is, then our 3 months came, right?
Mm.
Then we had to go to get that renewed. We had to take a flight from Dubai to Oman, sit in the flight, come
Mm.
back again to Dubai. In that
Yeah.
meanwhile, a visa agent or travel agent did that another visa pass, because if you did the visa on arrival again, so as we get with a Danish passport, it was only for 1 month, so they extended it for
Okay.
3 months like that. So
Okay.
it was a visa run, they call it. I never heard about it.
And so, is it just Oman, or you can go to like
Any
Bahrain
country, but that was the
or
closest,
any?
right?
Yeah.
To
Okay.
30 minutes
Okay.
flight, and yeah.
Right.
And so our visa process started. Unbelievably, very, very smooth visa process in UAE. Amazing.
Mhm.
I never seen anything like that. I never heard anything like that in the world, right? Within
Nice.
a couple of days, everything is so smooth and, punctual. And so it went very, very fast and clear. And in that meantime process as well, Aisha went back to the States, to San Francisco, and she went down, got her movers out, and they packed all our house. And we just bought a brand new Porsche the year before in US. It has only gone 20,000 kilometers or something, and
Mm.
we sent that in the container as well. So everything arrived in Dubai, and
You brought the stuff, even your car? Okay.
even before then, the stuff we
Yeah.
bought brand new stuff when we went to US from Denmark. We took there because we like Nordic
Yeah.
style. We like our Danish brands and
Yeah.
everything. So
Okay.
so yes,
But not the European car. You wanted to have a
no, but there's a
Porsche.
Porsche. That's a European car.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to US and bought a European car. It's kind of funny, but
Yeah. Yeah. And because it's a left and right, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're bringing this into Dubai or in Denmark either.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So look, April, our stuff came to Dubai. It was a Saturday. The container came, took our car off, took all our household goods out.
Mm.
The following Monday, 2 days after, in April 2024, I get an email from the U.S.
Homeland
Embassy.
security. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Hanif, you can come by, collect your visa. That's serious? Honestly, is this a joke? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, come on, and
Yeah.
obviously we were saddened, and because we built a strong relation to the U.S. just even in that short time. The kids did. We had got some really really good friends in our community as well, and
Yeah.
so. But again, and we looked at each other, me and my wife, should we go back? I said, no, 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 I'm not going back again. And if it was us alone, doesn't matter. But the kids, we could not. They
Yeah.
started a very nice school in Dubai as well, and so now we've been in Denmark for a few weeks now for the summer vacations because it's too hot there in Dubai. So we kind of did a long work from Denmark and vacation right now. We gave our passports to the U.S. Embassy last week, and they put the visas in. So now we have them.
Visa.
But
Yeah. Just in case, if you had to
business
go.
visa, yeah. And
Mm.
also I think for us as getting that chapter closed, because obviously it took hard on us, right? And especially our
For
kids,
sure.
they don't
Yeah.
understand everything around it, right?
Mm.
So I think it was a good to kind of finally have that chapter closed and say, okay, anyway, we got it. Yes, right. It wasn't because we were not welcomed or anything, but we got
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where we are
Interesting.
today, Yasin.
Interesting. Very interesting. So how are you finding Dubai as your new home so far?
I mean, Dubai is very, very different, right? And I worked in Europe, UK, US, Canada, right? The markets. Dubai is a completely different beast, right? I spoke to some
Mm.
of the top management people in Microsoft in Dubai, for example, and they told me we did some due diligence and we heard about your track record. We are very amazed. One thing as a partner, we want to tell you, and they start laughing, was over dinner and some drinks, and they said, put 75 to 100% more time on the sales cycle here than it was in the US.
Mm.
I said, you guys must be joking. And they looked at me and said, no. They said, no, really. Yeah. And it is. So obviously, there's a lot of adjustments I have to make as well, right? And I think it's about, I think if we go back to some of the things we spoke about earlier, today, Yasin, is about, your will, being adaptable. How fast can you as a person adapt to something new, right? We've also
Mm.
seen in our company here, when we implement our processes, we change some things. The successful people are the ones that adapt immediately. And also, I want to say one thing I think is a key: high speed implement.
Mm.
Someone is giving you a nugget, someone is giving you something that can help you. Don't think about
Yeah.
it. Don't let it be there on your notes or something. High speed
Hmm.
implement it. Try and fail, try
Yeah.
and fail, or
Yeah.
try and pass, you know what I mean, and out with it, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's one thing, key thing that I still have with me today that I want to when I do these podcasts and talk to people and talk to a lot of salespeople. We have a lot of salespeople now. We had a 4 days sales kickoff here in Denmark a few weeks back because our HQ is here, right? And it's always the thing I say is, if you're adaptable, if you can high speed implement the good things you learn and hear from your mentors and people around you, you can become successful.
Yeah. Try and fail fast and try
Yeah,
again. So
and
that's
not just think about it, right? And I think that's the one thing I also keep to myself here, and especially in a new market like UAE and the Middle East in general, right? It's very different, and people take some things more easily, and when in US, for example, you have a big company you're going to work with in a proof of concept evaluation with business cases, in US, I have this called a mutual action plan where I kind of dot down every single point or action we have to do mutually, right? And
mm,
and do it on a shared document with them, so they can change it, update it, so we have something to hold each other accountable to
huntable. Yeah.
with the customer, not just between
Mm,
us, right? And
mm,
and also a working sheet for my team, a deal team, always a deal team is 20, 10, 20, 30 people sometimes, depends, right?
yeah.
So
You have to update CRM for every activity.
every
Yeah.
activity, whose responsibility is that, the SE, the business value consultant, who's what he's going to do, when and how, the legal people. There's a lot of people around this, right? In
Mm,
software sales, you've been in this for a long time, you're senior.
yeah.
So, and I think just that part on having an action plan, it doesn't really go as an action plan here in this market for sure. I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
see how people, I mean, yeah, so, and I think going back to, and people always ask me how, if I wanted to transition into sales, or I'm a SE, I'm technical. And I said, look, I think the people who are technical, they can actually become best salespeople, right? Because they could
Yeah.
do best thing if they
I
can
I
learn.
did the transition. I used to be a C before, and before that, I was a hands-on technical engineer as well. So I'm also made transition from an engineer to the SE to the SE manager, and now being in sales. So I agree. I've seen very good SEs becoming very good sales guys as well, and it could go either way, right?
Yeah,
It
so
depends on
either
how.
way, right?
Yeah.
I think there's some qualities there, right? You need to obviously look, people, even in enterprise software sales, there's a lot of grind,
Mm,
and some SEs are so smart that they're just not capable or equipped to do constant follow up, constant chasing.
yeah.
Some SEs will not, right? Because they're simply too
Yeah.
smart to do that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that they're not smart ones going to sales, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's some personality as well that comes into play. But I think one thing that I learned is that if anyone can find pain, real pain. I mean, just not, no, we don't think this is nice for our company or something. That's not pain. No.
Yeah.
Pain is something that's quantifiable, something that has a user impact, that has an operational impact, but most importantly, has a
Monetary
business
impact.
impact.
Monetary impact. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah,
can
and
you can
monetary impact, right?
tag
Business
some
impact.
dollar amount
Yeah,
next
exactly.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can find that
Mm,
early, then you're in a very, very good spot. Then it doesn't matter who your competition is, what the competition
yeah.
is, what the price is. But if you can find pain, that's always the most important thing. It sounds tacky and cheesy as well, but no pain, no gain, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the best quality someone can have. Look for
Yeah.
pain.
Absolutely. On my previous podcast, I also spoke to another person who actually built a knowledge-based portal for supply chain professionals, and he was keep repeating one thing. He said, "You have to find the business problem and solution. That's it. That's all you need to do at a high level. The monetary thing, the money will come after. Once you find the business problem and provide a solution, like a provide a value, that's it. You have sold yourself, and then the money will come after you, later on. So yeah, I agree, completely
Yeah, for
agree.
sure. And if you think about it, Yasin, right? People can find all the information on the net today, right? But as a salesperson, I always say to people, make it easy for people to buy from you.
Hmm.
Make yourself a part of their team. Do you the
Yeah.
extended arm? You're helping them evaluate something. You're helping them because a lot of times potential customers, they don't know they have a pain. They don't know what the impact of that pain is. So
Yeah.
you, as a friend, as a
You help
consultant,
them realize it.
you help them
Yeah.
realize this, right? You make them shine. Actually,
Hmm.
you never go tell someone to go and ask for $1 million without having a solid business case and a problem and also a future
They
state
will
and a
get
few
shut down
positives.
immediately. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So it's our jobs as in sales to go and help them build that case for automation,
Mm.
for example, here in our case, right?
Yeah.
I think if you can do that, and it starts always with the pain, right? Who does the pain really impact? Does it impact you? But okay, that's fine. It impact you. I know you're greedy. You want a promotion,
Yeah.
whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But after you, is it your boss? Your boss's boss? What's in it for him or her?
Yeah.
Right? You
Yeah.
have to find out
Is it
how the
affecting their top line revenue, their bottom line, operation costs? So yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think a lot of and this is where I feel like a lot of engineers or SEs who become sales, they tend to kind of miss this part. They always very much focus on the technology. Okay, my product can do this. This is the demo. It can have these features, that features, but they sometimes forget to kind of analyze. Okay, how these features or product is going to help the customer further down the road, right? Is it their operational efficiency? Is it their cost? Is it their top line revenue? Is it going to be more? What are the KPIs it is going to help them to become more profitable? So all of these things has to be in mind before you actually deliver your elevator pitch, right? So to your point, once you make them realize what are they missing, then of course they know that, okay, this is the value that this person, Tayyab Hanif, is actually providing me, and I should discuss more with him. What else he can do to help me improve my business going forward. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I think, in terms of transitioning from SE to sales, I
Mhm.
think obviously they need to be able to put the technical part away, right? You don't want to just stand and selling on features today. You want to sell on values. You want to sell on outcomes, right? And if
Yeah.
SE cannot do that, then you will not be the best. But I think we've been very good in recruiting SEs. We have, I would say, some of the best SEs in the market.
Mhm.
Our SEs come from similar companies like us. We call them a playbook companies that use the medpic framework. So they're
We
very,
do
very
that as well. Yeah.
business minded, business oriented.
Mhm.
So always say, I don't do the work. The people around me do the work, and that's how we closed all these big deals. Because
Yeah.
I think I have so many amazing people around me, and I think my art and I think my best trick is to manage these people around me to create a stellar deal team for every customer and get things done and just be CEO of your own business slash deal,
Of
basically,
course.
right? I think that
Yeah.
is the most important thing if you can do that. And that also requires that people internally like you, right? So we
Mhm.
always talk about building champions with customers. But remember, internal champions is as important.
Oh yeah.
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 Okay. In
and
Leapwork, I've
and
been fortunate,
and
right?
you
Yeah, from the
you
beginning.
need that more if you're working in a very large organization like Cisco. You have to have your friends in legal, in procurement, in business unit, in sales engineering team, so that you can basically get help when you need it, fast and quick. Otherwise you're just an ordinary person, and you need some help, you'll say, okay, I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But if you
Exactly.
have good relationship
You just know
internally,
me.
then of course you can move things very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's funny here in Leapwork as well. People always say, "Hey, listen, why does Tayyab always get things done? It just seems like everything is so smooth. He never complains about delays and legal and this and that." And other people say, "It's because he have so many champions. He send them
Yeah.
bottles of wine and champagne, and whenever they do something, and whatever." I think, and it's not about giving; it's about appreciating, right? People,
Yeah.
right, when they go do
Yeah.
something extra for you. And I think,
Exactly.
being in sales and a sales job like this, people they understand that salesperson who actually signs the deal, how much money he actually makes or she makes, right? So you got
Mhm.
to look after the people around you as well in order
Yeah, for sure, for
to
sure.
kind of
And and I think
compete.
I should say, in a smaller company, you can do these things very, very openly. But in a large organization, you're not allowed to kind of give these gifts, right? So we have our internal system where we can actually recognize an employee by giving them some monetary value, like $50, $100, whatever. But it is send them through a company system, so you have accountability and all that stuff. But I remember when I used to work for a smaller company, the sales guy used to share bottle of wine and all that stuff, um, without any basically tracking, right? So in a smaller company you can do this openly, but in a large organization, it's not really considered
Yeah, exactly.
ethically possible.
But
So
I think again, I
um,
think the point is just appreciate people, right?
yeah.
And if it's not that, and then take them out for dinner and everything. Now, I've been in Denmark for a few weeks now, and I took
Mm.
different people out for dinner. I know for the HQ
Oh
that
yeah.
really helped me and go way and beyond and spend time with them, right? And generally,
Sure.
right? So I think people ask me time, how do you do this? How do you make so much money in this? I say, listen, it's because of the people around me. I
Hmm.
don't mind. I don't, I give them all the glory and I think and again I truly think it is because sales is just not especially enterprise software sales it's just not a one-man job now. You need a team around you,
Of course.
right? You need a strategy.
Yeah.
We prepare for every meeting we go into. We prepare for a follow-up meeting we go into. We say, what if this person say X, what will we respond?
Mhm.
We write answers
Yeah.
down and agree on them, right? So stuff like this, yeah. And it's a team sport, right? So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Couldn't agree more. Well, Thanks a lot, Tayyab. It has been. I was planning to do this for 45 minutes. Now we are an hour 20 minutes already. So really love talking to you and listening to your story. Very encouraging for especially the young engineers who are still kind of thinking about moving into sales. Um, I think everybody should think about it because that opens up the mind and your exposure in terms of how you look at the world. Because I remember when I moved my transition from an engineer to an SE, it gave me a complete different picture in terms of the way I looked at business. Before I was just, sitting in my cubicle, just looking at the screen, running SSH command on Unix terminal. But then it completely changed the way customer look at your product. What are the challenges they are looking into, how they expect you to find problems and fix for them. So really, I think everybody should think about this, and everybody should learn from your journey as well in terms of how you change your career from a qualified plumber to a successful SaaS business leader, worked in different countries and markets. So very encouraging. Any last comment before we wrap up?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, first of all, for having me. I think it was an interesting conversation. And the reason for I actually say yes to do these podcasts is to kind of encourage people, right? And don't just think that, okay, I'm doing this, I cannot go into another industry, or do something else. I think,
Mm,
that's something that everyone should get exposed to and understand what's actually out there. There's so many good opportunities, right? And I think in general, people think sales is cheesy, sales is you sales is cheap, and it's a shitty job. But come on, tell me, the good salespeople make more than doctors, lawyers. You make seven
mm.
figures if you're good, right?
If you're good,
So
yeah, for sure.
I don't think it's cheesy. I don't think it's sales, and I don't think it's cheap. I think it's this work we are doing, and creating value, creating business value, protecting companies. It's a big impact it has, right? And you're engaging a lot of people. So my message is just don't see it as sales.
Mm,
Obviously you got to start one place to kind of grow into enterprise, right?
yeah,
But it's a whole different world, and there's so much to do, and especially for the tech people. I think try it out. It's an amazing opportunity, and
yeah,
there's so much good content out there as well, and people to learn from, right? Mentorships as well. And if someone want to get into sales, and I think it changed our life, I'm sure it can change yours as well. Thank you. Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, thanks very much, Tayyab. I will put your LinkedIn details in the description. If somebody wants to follow Tayyab to understand what he's doing, how is he doing, please check the link in the description and give him a follow on LinkedIn. Tayyab, you have a YouTube presence as well?
Yeah, actually, we have a YouTube presence as a family, right?
Okay.
It's not a business. I'm
It's not a
actually
professional
started.
channel. Okay.
Yeah, it's a family account where we actually try to document our journey, because we travel so much, and all sorts of places, and move countries,
Nice.
and kind of share the contrast between Europe, US, now Middle East. And so yeah, please do follow our
Yeah.
YouTube channel as well
I'll
as.
put the links in the description for the YouTube as well. So if somebody wants to learn how he navigated from Denmark all the way to US and then to Dubai, so give him a follow and let us know how you think about this. All right. Thanks very much, Tayyab. Talk to you later. Are you a non US tax resident and looking to open a business in the US? Well, this video is very important for you, so watch it till the end. Basically, if you are a non US tax resident, which means you don't have SSN, which is your tax identification number, which means when you open a bank account, or you open a Stripe account or PayPal account or Amazon business account or any business account, you need your SSN number in order to open any of these accounts in the US. While if you are a non-US tax resident, which means you don't have SSN with you, you can have another identification which is called ITIN. So ITIN is similar 9-digit number which is used for tax purposes if you are a non-US tax resident. So whenever you apply for a business account or bank account or payment processing account like PayPal or Stripe or even Amazon FBA seller, or registering a business in the US, you can use ITIN instead of SSN. This will help you to set up all of these things even though you're not a US tax resident. So if you're in Canada, Latin America, Europe, UK, Australia, or anywhere in the world, you can apply for ITIN, and you can use ITIN to register a business, open up the business accounts, open up the payment processing account in the US, and pretty much do all the tax related stuff using ITIN even though you don't have SSN. One of the unique use case for ITIN is if you are a non-tax resident but you have a US based income. Like for example, you have a rental property in the US or any other business that is generating income from the US, then depending upon the tax treaty from your parent country, you may have to file taxes in the US. Right? So when you have to file taxes in the US, you need ITIN because you have to file your tax return on a Form 1040NR. Okay, so if you are a non-tax resident, you need the Form 1040NR in order to file your tax return, and when you fill up that form, you will be required to enter your ITIN because you don't have SSN. So in order to enter your tax identification number, you have to have ITIN number ready. Okay, this is a very common use case for all the non-tax resident that is generating income in the US. They need to file tax return. Depending upon your tax treaty between your parent country, you may need ITIN as well. So how do you get that? Well, there are some companies available on the internet that will help you to get you the ITIN, but they may charge between $400 to $600 per application. We have a company called ITIN, and they are one of the quickest in terms of submitting the application. So they will help you out in terms of collecting the documentation, help you out in terms of answering your questions, and help you out in terms of submitting the application. Now, the typical application process times takes between 4 to 14 weeks, but the ITIN people only take 48 hours to collect the information, help you out in the journey, submit your application, and from that point onwards, it's basically IRS. IRS can take between 2 to 12 weeks depending upon their volume of the applications, but throughout the process, they will handhold you in terms of opening up the accounts, help you to open up the FBA account or Stripe account or PayPal account, or guide you in terms of the entire process. They're pretty quick to respond. They have people speaking English and Spanish and Arabic, and they can give you very competitive rates as well. Plus, if you use my referral link, which will give you extra $50 discount when you purchase their services. So if you are looking to open a business in the US, start your journey today, apply for ITIN. Even though if you're not looking to open a business now, you should have ITIN just in case in the future if you want to open a business, you're ready from tax standpoint. So check the link in the description below, and let's get back to the video.